Good day, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Simeon Gutman, the hardline, broadline, and food retail analyst at Morgan Stanley. It is my pleasure to be hosting the Share series, and welcome back to the Share series with Tractor Supply, hosted by Kurt Barton, EVP, CFO, and Treasurer of Tractor Supply. One quick second on the company. This is one of the best retailers in the industry, mission-driven company, this hobby farmer concept that is reinventing itself all over again from a growth perspective. I'm going to turn it over to Kurt for a very brief introduction and then go through a series of questions related to ESG. So with that, Kurt, please.
Thank you, Simeon. And good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to talk to you about Tractor Supply's commitment to sustainability and update you on our efforts to advance our progress in our ESG strategy. So first, for those that don't know a lot about Tractor Supply, let me give you a little bit of background. We're the largest farm and ranch retailer in the United States, and we serve the primary needs of hobby ranchers, farmers, and everyone else who likes to live what we call life out here. We sell everything but the tractor at Tractor Supply. So that's from zero-turn lawnmowers, truck boxes, animal feed, food for your pets, even selling live chicks a couple times a year. Another aspect of Tractor Supply, we're the #1 seller of bagged feed in the United States, selling over 8 billion pounds of feed just last year. We're also in the top 5 sellers of pet food in the United States. So with all that, when you think of the last couple of years with the pandemic, we saw an influx of new customers shopping more than ever before. Many of those customers, people started their own sustainable hobbies. Many of you may have done that as well, like gardening, backyard chickens, adopting pets. All of that plays into what we sell in the stores and online. Stores, we operate over 2,000 stores in 49 states, nearly 48,000 team members. We also have an online business that I mentioned. It'll do about $1 billion this year, which is about 7% of our sales. So on to ESG. Although our stewardship program officially began 14 years ago in 2008, I've been here 23 years, and I can tell you that the notion of sustainability, environment, and stewardship has always been in the mindset of our customers, our team members, and this company. So I'd argue that our stewardship program has been with us since 1938 when the company was founded to serve the out here lifestyle. Our customers, they view their ownership of the land. They view it as a key part of their life. Sustainability and stewardship for our customers is key. They look at the land as something not only that they nurture for themselves, but for the future generations. And because of that, sustainability and stewardship really has been in the blood of Tractor Supply since the beginning. And it's obviously an area of focus and emphasis for us. It's expected of us by our team members, our customers, and certainly our investors. So it's really neat to be in a purpose-driven company where the two of them really blend well. Our stewardship program, as we're going to talk about today, has really been an evolving journey in which we viewed sustainability as a process of continuous improvement, driving positive environmental and social change within our company and our communities. Sustainability has always been part of our heritage, and it's the focus of our company today and how we are shaping the future for farmers, ranchers, pet owners, those that are homesteaders, and all those that want to live the rural lifestyle. As I wrap up my background and introduction, I'll wrap it up with this. We're a purpose-driven company, Tractor Supply, because that is passionate about life out here. And a big part of owning that lifestyle is living sustainably. Being stewards of life out here is what we work toward every day. It's one of the primary things our customers wake up thinking about, and it's why they come into our stores or shop with us online. They're passionate about stewarding the land, water, and air for future generations. And hopefully with that background, you know a little bit more about Tractor Supply and why ESG is right in line with the passion and the purpose of this company. So Simeon, I'll turn it back over to you and glad to have some further dialogue on it.
Yep, thanks, Kurt. It sounds like you have an unfair advantage being a Tractor Supply because sustainability is already woven into the fabric of the company. So we'll start by asking you the highest level one. What are some of your main focus areas for ESG at Tractor Supply?
You know, as you heard from me, it's really been a big focus and it's part of our embedded strategy. And I'll talk about that this morning a little bit more, but maybe to answer your question, I'll hit two things. One, I'll talk about where the focus has really been the last 2 years. And then I'll give you a couple examples of some things in the most recent months. And I think that gives you a bit of flavor. So probably consistent with other companies, our focus in the last couple of years has really been about more reporting, transparency on the key metrics with ESG. We recently just published our very rigorous new ESG goals. We had achieved our 2018 goals, and back in 2021, we went ahead and re-upped and put in our long-term goals. We'll talk probably a little bit more about that throughout this time. But the focus in our goals are really in two areas, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what we're doing to continue to just make it a positive work environment and positive for our communities on the social aspect, and then also on the environmental aspect, where we've set new goals for the ability to reduce our carbon footprint. At a highest level, those new goals, 20% reduction by 2025, 50% reduction by 2030, and then net zero by 2040. So the last 2 years, it's really about setting the new strategy, setting the new goals, and putting that plan in action. I'll wrap up, Simeon, with, and there's so many examples, but like, for instance, the last few months, just recently, like during Earth Week, part of the ESG strategy that I've seen really become different within the organization is how do we engage our own team members? So we had multiple different efforts for volunteer to partner with other organizations, and our foundation supported all the coordination with team members to go out and support organizations and either do cleanup or plant trees, other things that we did during that time frame. And then we also this year announced one of the more exciting pieces, as I think you've seen as you're close to our business. We announced the partnership with Greenworks, where we've got a EV fully zero emission outdoor power equipment, from zero turns to trimmers and push mowers, to also help in regards to that. And those are some of the new and most recent things that we've been focused on.
I want to zero in on some of the goals, diversity and equity inclusion. And I guess you could take this any direction you want, but maybe let's just hone in a little bit more on the goals that you set recently.
Yeah, sure. So I hit the goals there first on the environmental. And in the environmental, our goal of 20% by 2025 and then 50 by 2030 in net zero, it has us now focused on our North Star in regards to ESG. And we believe, just like in any other strategic initiatives, you got to set those goals, and then you got to have mile markers, mileposts to be able to check where you're at. And right now we're focused on what we're doing to reach those, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but we have great opportunities to reduce our energy spend and consumption. And those are going to be some of the key areas to reach our 2025 goals. And then in addition to that, we've added this year a goal for water conservation, where we've said in the next 5 years, we also can take and reduce our overall company-wide consumption and usage of by 25 million gallons of water. And when you think about that, we'll attack that in two ways. We're going to attack that through reduced consumption, but then also partnerships where we can partner with organizations like Ducks Unlimited, Trout Unlimited, others that we can then invest in water conservation. So those are some of the environmental goals. On the DE&I side, we've made substantial progress on DE&I. Maybe it's a good time for me to say ESG was very purposeful to become part of our overall business strategy in 2020. So, Simeon, as you know, but not all of the participants may know, we went through a CEO transition, and our current CEO, Hal Lawton, joined us a month or two before the pandemic started. So in the middle of the pandemic, we launched our team's new long-term strategy, but it was very purposeful that ESG was embedded in there. Hal Lawton chairs our DE&I council. He's that passionate about it. So we've been making significant progress on there. And so we've put goals in place on DEI that are our 5-year goals. I'll just share a few of them right here. Our goal is to double the number of stores where team members mirror the communities we serve. Second, increase commitment to funding programs and education for Black and African Americans by 30%. Just earlier this year on that topic, we put out in our second quarter infographic that year to date, we invested $630,000 into DE&I organizations. We also have goals to increase the people of color at manager level and above by 50%, and then increase spending with diverse suppliers. So having growth within our team member ranks, manager level, and even supplier level, and making sure that our team is very much mirroring the communities we serve is a key part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. And real proud to see that the entire team has jumped in and very focused on the progress that we are making and need to make to hit those goals.
Just to revisit the net zero goals you mentioned, I jotted down energy conservation, water conservation. I think those are the two big ones.
Yep.
Just the practical way. I mean, how do you go about doing it? Is it the store level? You mentioned some of the ideas with water, but just to real focus on that very quick, and then we'll jump to the next one.
Yeah, there's our early opportunities, and really the biggest opportunity throughout this period of time is going to be on energy consumption. Renewable energy sources. So what some of the steps that we're doing, first I'd say it's key to get partners. So we've been investing in the right partners, one, to create the plan, two, to understand what it's going to cost and how do you get there, and then identify what are the right best solutions. So some of the things that we're doing, like we've been evaluating and doing a lot of test and learn in the last 2 years and had some great success on things like solar panels in both stores and distribution centers. So we've got solar panels on our store support center, which is where we're headquartered at. We have solar panels on a distribution center and a store, but beginning to put solar panels, skylights in stores to be able to take advantage of the daylight and be able to use that. And then energy efficient HVAC units and energy management systems. Those are all areas where we're investing in new stores, and then our existing stores is one of it. The other thing that would be the second part of it is, and again, it goes back to partnerships. We've been investing in partnering with green building partners that's helping us with our new stores and our new distribution centers and looking at ways that we can be even more efficient. That could be like a test that we've got going on now is, what's the benefit for even greater insulation or improved insulation into your buildings? And so what does that do in regards to our return on investment? We've joined the Clean Energy Buyers Association to be able to get leverage, best practices, et cetera. So our plan to be able to achieve that, certainly the scope 1 and scope 2 is really about what we can do in our current fleet and new stores to be as efficient and capture renewable energy sources.
Thanks for that. Very clear. Changing topics a little, what do you think about the SEC's proposal on the new disclosure requirements to enhance and standardize climate-related disclosures?
Yeah, that topic's gotten a good amount of attention. Here's my view on it. It's change. As we look at it at Tractor Supply, we do well. I think companies do well with structure, and with ESG growing and the emphasis and the importance to stakeholders today being so key, it's important that we've got to get to some point of structure. And while there's, debates on left side, right side of the argument on it, we believe structure is helpful. We believe we can work well in structure. The other point in view is that the intent and direction of the SEC's proposal and the governance on it, I think that's going in the right direction. I mean, it's going to help us at least move forward with that, having consistency. And with structure and consistency, I believe there'll be a bit more of harmonization onto the whole topic and reporting and of ESG. Now, I did say it's change. I think with any change, it's maybe not exactly or perfect the right initial rollout. I think of Sarbanes-Oxley 20 years ago. I mean, that was an area that was a pretty big shock to the process, and companies had to absorb it, adopt it. We had to make changes to it, and we've spent 20 years doing well with some new regulation. And for us, here's how we're handling it right now. We're already reporting most of that data. So we've had 3 years of our CDP reporting, 2 years on our TCFD reports. So we're beginning to report a lot of that data. And I think it's important that companies begin to just start to put themselves through that process of reporting it. We now have our internal audit department auditing the metrics and the data. We want to make sure that we're right on it. It's a lot of data, and we're trying to put the rigor around it that financial data goes through. And our financial reporting group is part of our ESG strategy and ESG reporting group now. So I think it's good change, and we're doing our best to prepare for it.
Thanks for that. Tractor Supply Foundation. Can you tell us about it, when it was founded?
Yeah, the Tractor Supply has been committed, as you heard me earlier, to ESG, investing in our communities. But it wasn't until 2020, as part of the ESG strategy, as I mentioned earlier, that we founded and launched the Tractor Supply Foundation. And what that gives us is it has a board and a group that are very focused on where are we going to invest, the foundation money. Where is it best deployed? And now it gives us a better catalyst to be able to invest and give to our communities. And in the last 2 years, for example, and Mary Wynn Pilkington, she leads our foundation. Between the company's investments, the fact that now we give our customers an opportunity to give to certain causes at our point of sale, we've been able to give back $26 million into communities and for rural causes. The foundation's overall purpose is really, it maybe is as simple as to say, to grow and build and support vibrant rural communities. And sometimes that's giving to youth programs in rural communities. We've made significant investments to really reduce and eliminate that rural digital divide and giving the rural communities strong access to online, or in many ways, sometimes it's just a matter of emergency response, because our communities are hit with some of the devastation as well, and the foundation kicks in. And the foundation is something that our team members are really proud of. We believe it's a factor in enhanced engagement. Our team members and our customers want to engage with and participate with companies that have a purpose and that have a way of giving back. And I couldn't be more excited about what's been done with the foundation since we started it 2 years ago.
That's a great overview. Thanks. We're in theory, post-pandemic, post-COVID, financially, the impact has been very positive on the company. From your vantage point, how has it affected or impacted your focus on sustainability?
I think in two ways. One, the pandemic broadly, for various reasons, put a more heightened awareness and priority across the board with companies and stakeholders on ESG. And then as well, for us, on a second basis, as I said, the timing was very much aligned with our launch of our strategy, but Tractor Supply has been a COVID winner. Investors put us in that category. I think it's appropriate because the company has benefited from rural migration, those moving into our communities, pet adoptions, other sustainable hobbies. We have what we've called for the last 2 years a COVID dividend. And we've taken that dividend to invest back into our business for the long term. And one of those investments is ESG. So the pandemic, in our view, has been one of the catalysts to actually accelerate the ESG initiatives. And in regards to our 5-year investment, just as a point of reference, and we estimate in our plan for the next 5 years, over $100 million of our capital investment is dedicated towards ESG initiatives and putting some of those energy efficiencies into our business. So the pandemic is hard to ignore as definitely a catalyst and a key part of our ESG.
Great. As CFO, how do you balance investment in capital in ESG and other initiatives?
I think it's an excellent question. And we look at ESG, and I know I've said this a couple of times because it's part of our strategy. I couldn't be more excited about that. Our strategy aligns and has ESG embedded in it. We look at like any other investments. And so one is the opportunity to invest aligned with our strategy. In this case, yes. And then two, does it have an ROI? Does it have an appropriate ROI? But in regards to ESG, and it's not specific only to ESG, ROI is not always a financial statement ROI. Does it give us a return on our overall long-term strategy for the business? And so with ESG, that's the lens that I look at it. And as we've gone through it, I'll give you some examples. I mentioned the solar panels on our store support center and a distribution center. We've made investments in 3 distribution centers that are all LEED certified. 2 are silver LEED certified. Our newest one in Navarre, Ohio, opening later this year, will be gold LEED certified. And then we've gone ahead and, as I mentioned earlier, tested and invested into a number of different energy efficiency measures. I'll share an example of a decision we made after testing on where we pivoted on type of an investment. So it seems really natural to invest in EV and EV forklifts if you're in retail and distribution. And so we began to roll out EV forklifts, and it made complete sense in a distribution center because a distribution center has almost 24/7 operation. You're getting a tremendous amount of benefit when you think about the reduction in the CO2e. In the stores, we first thought, it's the right thing to do as well. But because they're critical but not used nowhere near as much, the return on the investment on carbon reduction wasn't as good as, say, solar panels, skylights, all the other things that we could make even more impressive. So we use that to evaluate the priority of where we can make an impact in that. And that doesn't mean we won't, we have EV in stores, but it helps us look at where we prioritize our investments. And like I said earlier, we're excited. We'll be investing over $100 million in the next 5 years that support our our ESG strategy.
Very nice. This is my last question. I think we're getting close to time, and I'm just looking to see if any audience-driven questions. But my last question, Kurt, is what are you most proud of when it comes to Tractor Supply's sustainability journey?
Yeah, I've talked a lot about the environmental efforts, and I've mentioned some on the team member and the social. I'll hit 2 things, but then I'll hit the one I'm most excited about. Just real quickly, most excited about at Tractor Supply, through our CEO's leadership, we embedded ESG strategy in our overall business strategy. And I think at times they can be looked at separately, and I'm excited that they became all one and we're aligned on it. And then secondly, that ESG and our mission and values are so very much aligned that for us, it's just really natural. At the most simplest point, one of our core values at Tractor Supply is respect. And That's like the golden rule of treat others like you'd want to be treated. Treat others with the utmost respect. Treat the land with respect. And in a way, our values and ESG are so aligned. So what excites me is it's not something that you make a goal and a statement, and then you just got to go do something because you've stated it. It's part of what we do, and it's in our DNA at Tractor Supply. Now, what excites me the most is our investment in our people and that part of the ESG and what we've done in the last 2 years. Because at Tractor Supply, I'll take this opportunity, if you're not familiar with us, we are unapologetic with our investment in our people and the fact that our purpose in the stores or online is to be there to solve the problem and answer questions. We're a relationship business, not transactional. Our team members aren't there just to load items on the shelf for a customer pickup. Our team members are there to engage. So it's our number one asset. And so with the launch of the ESG strategy and all the work on DE&I and our team members, the things that we've done in the last 2 years, I think are pretty phenomenal. I'll just hit a few of them. Like just training, which is really important to our team members, over 1 million hours of training. It far outpasses our historical norms. Leadership development, online training, things like that. We have tuition reimbursement up to $5,000 a year for our team members. During the pandemic, tens of millions of dollars on bonuses and wage increases. With our ESG initiatives, we moved to offering all medical benefits to part-time, not just to full-time. That shifted as part of our ESG strategy. And with our wages in the stores now approaching nearly $15 an hour, we've had over 20% growth in wages. When you add in bonus incentives, the last 2 years, our team members have seen nearly 30%, compensation increase. And we've just done still a number of things. And the result of it, our engagement scores are higher than ever before. Our customer service scores are higher than ever before. And we've not had to close our stores because we didn't have staffing. Our turnover is as low as it's been. And our team members are the core to the mission and value and what differentiates us in retail. And I think the ESG strategy really was a catalyst for it. And I can't help but just say that's really the most exciting piece.
Well, thank you for that. I don't see any questions from the audience, but appreciate you delving in and sharing the depth and how ingrained ESG is a part of the Tractor Supply culture. Thank you very much, Kurt.
Thank you, Simeon. Thank you, everybody.